NMLS number 332074. And I am so excited to talk to you about house hacking. We need you guys to have your questions tonight, have your energy tonight. We are talking about something that can change your wealth position and put you in a really good position for retirement. A lot of people think house hacking is something that is impossible. Some people don't even know what the words mean. And maybe they don't necessarily mean anything to everyone, but we're going to tell you about house hacking tonight. And then I can tell my story as how I became a house hacker without even knowing that I was a house hacker. So I'm going to give them about 1 more minute to tune in. We are live on a few different platforms as well as Zoom. So thank you everyone for joining me tonight. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. Come on in. I got a little. There we go. So once again, I am your loan officer, Loans by Natasha, MLS number 332074. We're going to give everybody 1 minute, and thank you for joining me for Mortgage Moves Monday. And keep in mind, if you guys have any questions, you can put it in the chat. If for any reason the Zoom ends and you still have delayed questions because you saw it a little later, we will still respond to your questions. And you can always email me at natasha@grarate.com with any questions that are on different topics that you may want to know just about mortgage in general. So we'll go ahead and get started. Once again, welcome to Mortgage Moves Monday. I am Natasha Robinson, and tonight we are going to talk about house hacking. House hacking is the opportunity to purchase multiple properties with little down payment, with down payment assistance, with renovation loans, and give you the opportunity to build wealth with very little money down. The awesome and amazingness about house hacking is you only have to live in a property for 1 year. And for all of those listeners and everyone who calls me, you do have to live in the property. You can't put a mailbox on the front. You can't say you're going to live there. It's a 1 year commitment. And what happens when you live in this property for 1 year, you get to learn how to be a landlord. You get to live in that particular property. You don't have to tell your tenants that you are the landlord. You could be living in your mom's building, your brother's building, or you could just be coming and going as you please, minding your own business with a different drop box or management company managing your property. But it'll give you the chance to see how things work. What happens when your furnace breaks down? What happens if you're dealing with housing and you're renting to CHAC and you have to get an inspection done? You know, what happens when you got to take care of the grass or when you got to take care of the snow, right? So it'll give you the opportunity to become a homeowner and still get rent from other units if you decide to purchase a multi-unit and learn how to be a landlord. And guess what happens at the very worst case scenario on any mortgage? After 30 years, if you pay your mortgage payment every month, your house will be paid off. So all my young generation, 24, 22-year-olds, you literally can have a house paid off at 52, 51 years old, and you can even pay a little extra money on the house every month and get that mortgage paid down in 15 years. So now before you turn 40, you already have a paid in full house. And guess what, guys? That's kind of how we get to retirement. So yes, so I am a lender. I offer multiple programs. Tonight we are talking about renovation loans and house hacking. I do offer FHA, conventional, VA. We have a new IDA grant, which we've been talking about a lot, where they will pay out $40,000 of your student loans and give you $5,000 towards your down payment. Chenoa grant will give you 3.5% to 5% of your down payment. We offer another grant that's not listed. They will give you $8,000. And guess what? It is forgivable the day you close. It is the best grant on the market. They are making some changes to it. It goes based off where you live, and it had no income limits. But after January 31st, they are going to start making some changes on that grant. So if you are under contract now, or if you already have a pre-approval and you're close to buying, definitely want to get a second opinion for that. We offer the FHA 203K. When I say FHA 203K, you should say all day, because we are closing those loans all day over here. We offer the home style renovation. That is a conventional renovation loan. No, you do not only have to go FHA renovation. You can go home style renovation. And guess what? You can even go VA renovation, right? And then we also have our one-time close loan. We have some amazing products, but once again, we have to see what fits for you, what product works for your scenario at your time to get you in the home that you want to get into at the amount that you can afford to spend. So everybody's situation is not going to be the same, which is why after you complete the application, which we only require a soft pull, we do a one-on-one consultation with you so you can see what everything is all about, what you qualify for before you make that credit pull commitment. When you purchase a home, what is it that you need, right? And this slide needs to be updated. So you're going to need your last 2 years W-2s, 23, and then 24 will be coming out by next week. 30 days of pay stubs. So if you're paid weekly, you would need 4. If you are paid every other week, you would need 2. 1 month bank statement. What are we looking on your bank statement? Honestly, they are looking for all of the credit karmas. They are looking for, and I'm saying credit karmas, but I think it's called Klarma, and all of the little payments that come on to your account, IRS. They're looking for insufficient funds. Your bank statements tell your story. So when we ask your bank statement up front, it's because we want to make sure we collect all the documents that the underwriter is actually going to collect to prevent you from having a long drawn out mortgage process. If you are self-employed, you will need 2 recent years of tax returns and a profit and loss, right? But we'll talk about that on our one-on-one consultations. How to apply, you can scan the link and you can apply at any time. And you have the option when you scan this link to do a one-on-one consultation or apply. So if you don't think you're ready or you want to have a one-on-one conversation, you don't have to apply and put your social security number in. You can literally click an inquiry form and we can have a one-on-one consultation. Now, we're going to go back into the house hacking because this year in 2024, actually, I'm already still in last year, guys. They actually changed the guidelines where you can put 5% down on a conventional loan, right? Up to 4 units. What does this mean for you? That means, and I'm going to get the loan limit wrong because they just changed it again, but you can spend up to 1.3 million or more on a 4-unit property and only put 5% down. Before January of 2024, you would have had to put 20% down on that situation, right? So now you have way more buying power. And guess what else, guys? You can include renovation. So before we had to live wherever we can afford, right? Fake it until we make it. Now you can pretty much live in any neighborhood. And I'm not going to say any because we still have Winnetka and Barrington or other places that may have way higher purchase price, but we can live in other places, right? Having buying power up to 1.3 million. So this is definitely an amazing product and definitely something you should look into if you're looking into house hacking and purchasing a multi-unit. Now, when you do what's called house hacking, you want to purchase a 3 to 4 unit property for your first property. After you purchase that property, you're putting either 5% down conventional or 3.5% down FHA, right? You're going to live in that property for 1 year. You could purchase a property that's already rehabbed. You could purchase a property that needs renovation. The sky is the limit. We're offering all of that. After you live in that property for 1 year or longer, at least 1 year after the renovation is complete, if you do a renovation, then you can go and upgrade. When you upgrade your property, guess what that means? You're going down in units. And let me repeat that for you guys. An upgrade in real estate is generally when you're going down in units. There's always other circumstances where it could be an upgrade where you just are buying a much larger place. But if you are in a 3 to 4 unit property and you purchase a 3 to 4 unit property, if the unit that you're going to live in is not bigger in bedrooms and bathrooms or square footage, then that's not going to be considered a fair exchange. But if you are in a 3 to 4 unit and now you're going to go to a 2 unit or 1 unit, that is what is considered an upgrade. So you can purchase that 3 to 4 unit building your first year or two. And then after you learn how to be a landlord and master that, you can then come back and purchase a 2 unit. And even though you own another property, I still have a down payment assistance loan for you where you can still get grant funding, purchase that 2 unit, move into the 2 unit, right? And now you're living into that 2 unit property and you already have your other property that's making you money and building you wealth. Now, after you live into the 2 unit property, hopefully that 3 to 4 unit property and that 2 unit property can help you pay for your mortgage on now your 1 unit property. Keep in mind, your first home does not have to be your dream home. I know you've been waiting a long time to purchase. I talked to a client today. She was 50 years old. She was purchasing her first house. She wanted to get it before her birthday. But even at 50, your first house doesn't have to be your dream house. Because with the house hacking strategy that I just gave you, within 3 years, you can have 3 properties. Or within 4 years, you can have 3 properties. And guess what? When you look 15 to 20 years down the line, those 3 same properties can be paid off or almost paid off. So guess what you can do when you retire? Live off your rent, live off your profits, and utilize the equity in your home for wealth, right? And I know I talk fast, so please feel free to bring in any questions, but keep in mind also that you are also building that retirement situation. As your properties are free and clear and you gain equity, you can tap into that equity and make other investments. I personally sold my 3 unit and made $137,000, and then I brought myself an 8 unit property. I went from making $1,600 a month to $5,000 a month. So as you get your properties, you begin to gain wealth, you begin to gain confidence, you begin to gain money, and now you're in a different ball game. When I first gained my first piece of wealth in that same property I sold, it was $75,000. I went and got a line of credit, which I'll teach you on one of my other classes at 6 p.m. on Mortgage Mondays. And that line of credit was $75,000. I was making $28,000 a year. I had access to $75,000 in cash. I had paid off all my debt already. I still had the $75,000, but I was only making like $28,000 a year on my job. So guess what Natasha did? I went and quit my job, right? Because I bet on me. And I never, ever, I'm not gonna say never, ever, but I didn't leave right away, but I did get a raise that was almost triple what they were paying me because my real estate helped me build confidence. And because I had access to money and equity, I didn't feel the need to have to work underpaid because I knew my worth, but I also knew I had my bills to pay. So I figured if I had 2.5 years worth of my salary, that I can figure it out. And guess what? I was only off for 1 day, and I begged to be off that 1 day. And then I came back making 3 times my salary because real estate, house hacking positioned me to be able to put my own seat at the table, right? Put my own table in the room and demand what I felt that I was worth because I had my property as my backup. And at the very worst case scenario, I was living rent free, so I was up. Majority of my bills were being covered from my property. So I was just in a really, really good situation to make some different moves. So just wanted to tell you a little bit more about house hacking. In your house hacking, you will hear about what we call an ADU. An ADU is an accessory dwelling unit, right? Before 2024, accessory dwelling units was something that you couldn't really utilize. If it had it, it caused frictions. A lot of places like in Bronzeville, South Shore, especially in Pilsen, they have what is called coach houses, right? Coach houses, they have kitchen, they have tenant back there, but generally it's an illegal unit. Well, now the city has legalized some of those units. So if you have a ADU situation where it's allowable in your area, we can now finance those ADUs. That's a big deal, guys, because if you have a 3-unit property or 4-unit building, you can now get income from a 5th unit. And I'm going to repeat that. So if you have a 3 to 4 unit property, if you have a 3-unit, you can get income from the ADU in the 4th unit. But the most we can finance is 4 units. So I don't want to give you bad information thinking you can finance 5 units. You can only finance 4 units. So if you have a 3, you can count the basement, the illegal basement as the 4th, or you can count the coach house as a 4th. Now, say for instance, if you had the first scenario and you had a 4-unit property with the ADU in the back, you would have the option to either remove the kitchen and stove in that coach house. So now it's just a 4-unit. You'll also have the option to maybe duplex the first floor to the basement. So now you have 3 units in the building and 1 unit in the coach house. But when you're dealing with conforming loans with the products that I'm offering to you today, the max units is 4 units. And guess what? On the other side, you can take a 6-unit and turn it into a 4-unit and have 2 duplexes and 2 simplexes. Or you could take an 8-unit and turn it into a 4-unit and have 4 duplexes. But of course, there's other things that go along with that. And we'll talk about that on one of our other Mortgage Monday calls. And you have to have an experienced realtor that can assist you with that type of transaction. But just a little cheat sheet, the property does have to appraise out with the renovations that you're doing and the purchase price at the 4 unit. So keep that in mind as well. Emeka, did we have any questions so far?
Yes, we do have one question. Amber is asking, how can you house hack if you already own a home?
That is a good question, Amber. So if you already own a home, it's a little harder to house hack, but you still can do it. So depending on what type of home you own. So if you are in a current single family, then it's hard to say, hey, I'm going to move from my beautiful home with no neighbors and no one over my head, and I want to go buy a building. Well, you have situations where all the kids left, now you want something smaller. So everything's on a case by case scenario. So I'll never say that you can't do it, but I will give you my honest opinion, depending on your scenario. Now, if you own a 4 unit or 3 unit, of course, you can come on over to the 2 and 1 unit world, right? So it's easier to house hack when you haven't purchased. But if you did purchase and you're in a multi-unit situation, as long as what you're purchasing is bigger and better than what you currently have, you're going to be in a winning situation. And let me give you an example. So if you had a 2-unit property and you live in a 2-unit, bought your 2-unit 10 years ago, you owe $160,000. 2-unit is nice. It's 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, but maybe it's old and it's not updated or whatever. Now you want to purchase another 2-unit. This 2-unit is duplex downstairs, has the bells and the whistles. We can show them how, you are upgrading. You don't want to go and rehab your house. You can rent that out and make a nice amount of rent. And you want to go ahead and live into your new property where it's bigger, better. It's an upgrade for you. So what I tell my clients, because I do get a lot of clients that call me and they are saying they're going to live there and they don't. So I try to always let them know that you do have to live in the property, right? House hacking, we have private money lending. We have hard money lending for my investors. No reason to try to take advantage of the house hacking, because generally they'll find out if it's not right through your paperwork. But if you are truly going to live in that property, it will generally work out for you. It's from my experience, what I have experienced. But that's a good question, Amy. Got it. I'm going to keep going and just let me know if we have any more questions, okay? So these are some tips I created for house hacking. You want to research the area for the property you want to house hack. If you guys are from Chicago online tonight, hey, my city, right? Indiana is another good house hacking city, but there's many more. But there are also some cities that don't have any multi-units. Or the purchase price doesn't make sense. So once again, you're gonna want to have to make sure that the area works for house hacking that you live in, right? Because you have to live in the property, so it has to be the area that you want to live in. Then you have to build a team, which is the most important. So you will first you will get pre-approved. A lot of people think that you should go to a realtor first, and then start trying to figure out how to go from there. But you should get a pre-approved first. And then once you get pre-approved, you want to contact an agent that can assist you with finding the property that you want, that has the schedule that works for you, that understands the type of property you're trying to buy. If you're trying to purchase a property that needs renovation and your realtor has never done that, that might be a little more challenging, right? Because you're going to need some support. You're going to need somebody that can refer you contractors. You're going to need somebody that maybe can have an eye when they walk through of what to look for. So that way you don't go into a property thinking you're going to spend $100,000 and then the rehab is $350. Now you wasted your time and money when you could have found out that just on the initial walkthrough because your agent had that experience. So as a lender, I can always refer a good realtor, but you definitely want to have a realtor that does renovation, in my opinion, if you want to get into this world. I also tell my clients, it says 5 contractors on here. Find 7 contractors in your Rolodex, contractor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you have contractors and they are referred to you, then that's better. Because now the person that you referred them to, you could tell on if they don't answer or if they let you down. Maybe that'll make them pick up. Now we're going into March. It's going to be a little harder to find contractors now because everybody's starting to get busy again. So you want to have 7, because if you call 7, maybe 5 will call you back. Maybe 3 might show up. and you end up with 2 bids. But guess what? If you end up with 1 bid, if that person lets you down, you have to do that process all over again, which is why the more the merrier when you're soliciting contractors, because you just want to make sure that you have some options. And I know everybody has a Pookie, a Uncle Dave, a Tom, or somebody that does renovations that they just have to use for this project. Well, guess what? No problem. They can bid the job, but if you can repeat my process of getting the contractors to bid the job, I guarantee you either you're not going to go with Uncle Tom, or you're going to find a great place where you can get tile for cheap, where you can get, you know, maybe a wall you can knock down. You know, maybe there's going to be a lot of different things that you learn about your property. You can never learn too much about your property. And I always tell my clients, schedule the contractors apart from each other. So if the one that you love, 30 minutes, right? Have them come in at 8 o'clock. The next one, 8:30. The next one, 8:45. The next one, 9. So that way you're not there all day. And you could blame it on your lender. You can say, hey, my lender made me get all of these extra bids. But just so you know, I only need 1 bid, and I need the bid that you're going to use. And I always tell my client, do not take the lowest bid, right? Because if for any reason you have a problem that is larger than the estimated money we held for a problem, you do have to come out of your pocket with that money. So, and I don't want to go all the way deep into it, but if you have a $30,000 problem and we have $15,000 in reserves for you, that means you would have to bridge that gap out of your own pocket. We wouldn't be able to go back to underwriting. So I always tell my clients, if you're going to go with the lower bid, make sure you have 2 lower bids. So if Uncle Dave lets you down, you can call Jack. He can start it back up. We can get rocking and rolling. You have somebody for the same price, and we don't have to wait anytime, right? You want to have time if you want to do a renovation loan, and you don't have to. I'm talking a lot about renovation, but you don't have to do renovation when you house hack. You can easily find a property that is already fixed up. And when it's renovation, we generally don't have any down payment assistance for renovation, but we do with non-renovation. So when I consult with you, I'm going to go over, you know, kind of what the options are for you, and we can kind of get you to the next steps. Renovation loan program. So we've talked a lot about renovation loans and different programs. We talked about the 203K. We talked about the VA renovation. We talked about the home style renovation. These are all products for you. When I do the one-on-one consultation, I'll recommend what's best for you. And what's best for you is different for all different people, whether it be the loan limit, whether it be the credit score, whether it be if you had a foreclosure in the past. Yes, you can purchase a home if you had a foreclosure in the past, if you had a bankruptcy. So the programs just determine, you know, kind of where we go with all of this. So with that being said, that is all the different programs, and we'll decide what program works best for you when we put you into that loan. The limited standard and the 203K standard and limited, we have 2 different programs. They just announced a lot of great changes to the standard and limited programs. So on the limited 203K, the max you can spend used to be $35,000. Now it's $75,000, right? That's awesome and amazing. And then on the full 203K, you used to only be able to finance 6 mortgage payments into your loan. Now they allow 12. So they've made a lot of good changes for you for the renovation loans. And keep in mind, we can still get these loans done with 3.5% down, 1 to 4 units. So you 3.5% down on a 1 unit, 3.5% down on a 2 unit, a 3 unit, or a 4 unit. The minimum credit score is 580. So with that being said, 580 is the minimum credit score. I don't recommend you go into a purchase with a 580, especially not a renovation loan. And the reason being is because if anything happens bad on your job, you're going to need some credit. And I guarantee you that something going to go wrong on your job. So if you start with a 580 and if you exhaust all your funds to purchase, you got to have some type of backup emergency plan. So having a fair credit score will allow you to get other credit, whether it be cards or credit or whatever, Home Depot, whatever the situation is, because you're going to have some things that go wrong unless you have a nice savings or 401k situation. But keep in mind, something's going to go wrong. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that to prepare you, because we're not here to make a commission. We're here to build wealth. We want you to be successful in your project, and we want you to refer multiple people behind the project, so that way people know this exists, because many people do not know. It's a nice that there's more people in the industry that can do renovation. It's a blessing to see some of the other lenders out here that I personally know that do a really good job, because for a long time it wasn't a lot of us. So you do have a little more options than usual, but it's still not enough people doing it where it's talked about regularly. And oftentimes, if a loan officer doesn't know how to do 203K, they're going to talk you out of it so they can keep you as a client, which is also not fair. Because what I try to do is let you know what your options are, and I'm going to let you know the good, the bad, and ugly, so you can make the best decision for your family based off the products that are available for you. And we can do building violations, demo court, our case-by-case scenarios, and we can do permanent injunctions sometimes on closed court cases. So did anybody have any questions so far?
We do have one more question in the chat from Rob. He wants to know, how does house hacking affect your overall lifestyle?
So, I mean, it doesn't really affect your lifestyle. I will tell you that doing a renovation project can be very overwhelming, especially like if you're in a marriage or relationship and you guys both, you got to kind of make sure you're on the same page. Like, do I want 2 bathrooms? Do I want 1 bathroom? Do I want white tile? Do I want red paint? Right. But I wouldn't say that it would negatively or positive affect your lifestyle, but I will say that it helps you build wealth. A lot of individuals do gain equity, because at the end of the day, you have to have somewhere to live, right? And in a little while, we're not going to be able to live in areas that we were born and raised, like Londale, like Inglewood, because everybody is buying up that land and they're buying up that property, and they don't really have a lot of options for you to be able to live. So if you don't buy, then in a minute, you won't determine if you're going to live in a neighborhood, because the people who buy the property may decide that they're not going to rent from you. So I think what it does is it gives you a sense of freedom, and it gives you the opportunity to have wealth within your family, have something when you pass away that you can leave to your kids, or when you get my age and you got kids at Howard and they're sending you invoices every month, if you have to take a line of credit just so they can go and be great, you don't have to feel that burden. So it can change your lifestyle by just making you greater and make you not have to worry about how you're going to pay the next bill. And it can negatively affect you if you go in over your head and you don't do your research and you don't gauge the contractors and make sure you got a property that works best for you. But that was a different question, but it was still a good question. VA renovation loans, if you are a veteran, this is new as of 2023-24, but we can do VA renovation. You can spend about $75,000. That increased this year. It used to be 50, 100% financing. We just want the project to be complete in 4 months. We are going to the loan limits. Pretty much, they're extremely high if you purchase it in Chicago, so it should pretty much cover almost everything, right? That makes sense. And then there is what we call a contingency, and that's what I was speaking of earlier. So if the contractor's bid is $10,000, then we will hold that $750 in contingency for you. So that way, if something goes wrong, you have a little bit of seed money, which is why you want to make sure that you hire a contractor that has a competitive rate. So if you have to fire someone, you have the room in your budget to get somebody to jump right in. And then we do have, we do validate the contractors at guaranteed rate. And that just means we're going to check their references. VA loans only go to 1 or 2 units, unlike FHA 203K. We're able to go to 4 units as well as conventional. So those are the differences there. So if you are a veteran, thank you for your services. If you are a veteran that does not need renovation, we do waive all of our lender fees, which is about a $1,700 value because you're a veteran. And we have just some awesome programs available in interest rates as well. You want to at least spend $3,000 in minimum repairs, meaning you at least want to spend $3,000. But if I'm your loan officer and the repairs were only $3,000, we would have a different conversation, because of course my goal would be to get you the lowest interest rate, and interest rates on renovation loans are a little higher than non-renovation loans. The home style renovation, and this slide is pretty much set up for an investor, but it's a conventional loan product. We can go 1 to 4 units. If you're an investor and you want to flip, in the situation. A flip is different from a house hacker. You have to have a 720 credit score. But if you are just a regular buyer, which most of my clients are, and you're looking to purchase a 1 to 4 unit, I would say you want to have, if you're going to do the 2, 3, and 4 units, you want to have a good 700. It's not a requirement though. The file is going to look at all different aspects. So you may have a lower credit score, but you may have a lot of money in your 401k. It looks at the blend of the entire file, and it goes through a system with the government that automatically scores your loan. And then we determine, what you're qualified for at that particular moment. Can you refinance? Yes. So if you are in a house now, you have building violations, everybody's enhanced your community. So now they're messing with you because they want you to fix the facet of your home or the back porch. You've been smacked with building violations. You can do a renovation refinance. But once again, I'm not here to make any commissions off anyone unless it makes sense. So if you're in a situation where you have the equity to refinance and make those repairs without a renovation loan, that's going to be your better option. So when we have our one-on-one consultation, I'll be talking to you about 3 options, whether you're going to get a line of credit, a cash out refinance, or do a renovation loan. But we're definitely going to do what's going to be best for your scenario and what's going to be cheapest for you. So that way you can keep all the equity that you have into your home. Our renovation process, it takes about 37 days. The company puts a 6-week plan in place, but we pretty much can close in 37 days. And the way we do that is by, one, when we give you the pre-approval, you're going to have those 7 contracts in your Rolodex, right? You're going to interview your realtors who you plan to work with to make sure you have the one that works for your availability. If you are somebody that is only available at night and you have a realtor that doesn't work at night, then that's not going to be the best realtor for you. So you need to work with somebody where the time works for your schedule, so that way you can get and look into these properties. Now, I know some agents will say, even if you're only available at night, you still have to see the property during the day, or you should. I'm a loan officer. I stay in my lane. So you would have that conversation with your realtor, and they will give you their licensed expert experience on what they suggest. And then they will get you started on that process. And then once you go under contract, then we're going to go ahead and get you into those next steps and decide if we need to bring in additional people in the process to get you to the finish line. In that first 7 days, we're working on getting your bids, contractor bids, if there's a HUD consultant, and we'll talk about that soon. In that first 7 days, after we get those numbers back, and they generally take about 2 weeks, then we're going to order the appraisal, which takes about a week, right? So now it's really up to you, because the numbers part can be tedious, right? So it just depends on how long it's going to take for you to get me the numbers so we can order the appraisal, and then to finalize what contractor you plan to use. So that way we can call them and collect the appropriate screening documents from them. We want to know, do they have credit? We want to know, have they done any other projects like this? So we're going to go in and, make sure that your contractor has at least completed the basics of qualifying to do your job. And then from there, we would then issue your clear to close, and then you will be at the closing table. At the closing, the seller is going to get all his funds. Your money is going to go to an escrow. And then once you get permits, then that's when you'll start getting monies from your renovation job to get to the next steps. Okay. Do we have any more questions?
We have one question also from Amy. She wanted to know what would be her next step if she was interested in starting the house hacking process.
So the first step is to complete a loan application. It's going to be what we call a soft pull. So on that soft pull, we just want to know where you live, where you work. I'll be able to see your trade lines and things like that, and I'll see the dynamics of your file. Then we'll collect some documents. We'll go over everything. If it is working for you, then we'll pull your credit and issue the pre-approval. And then, like I said, in the steps, then you will find a realtor who can work with you and get you some properties, so that way you can go out and start looking at those properties. And at the same time, you'll start building your contractor database. And everybody listening should just start building it now, right? Because you never know when a good property is going to pop up for you. And tips for a successful renovation loan: understand the cost of renovation, right? Back in the day, I did a whole house for $35,000. Today, the house caught on fire and I had to redo it, and it cost me $165,000 to rehab the same house that I renovated 15 years ago. So understand how much things cost. Like if you're fixing up a basement, it's not $8,000 anymore. Basements can cost $10,000 to $60,000 depending on what you're doing to it. So the cost of renovation is definitely very expensive. So even if you don't want to waste your contractor's time, if you could get them on a live or send them some pictures and say, hey, what do you think that this renovation is going to cost? Believe it when they tell you that it is a lot more expensive than it used to be back in the day. As you can see, I have a little ugly before and after picture on the front, but okay, I just passed my slide. But you can see in that picture that you can make something super ugly become beautiful. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure that you get all your contractors in your Rolodex, and you just want to be ready. They say if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. We'll get in pre-approved, having your contractors in your Rolodex, looking at different properties, being prepared to purchase something that's turnkey, that doesn't need a renovation, or that is not turnkey and needs a renovation. The good thing with me is I'm a one-stop lender, and I'm able to assist you with all of that, if you need. And Amy, you can always scan. On my scan, you will get a link for a questionnaire that just asks some questions about you, and then we can do a one-on-one call before you apply. Or you can strictly apply, and like I said, it's a soft pull. And then once you do that soft pull, we'll talk and decide if we want to do a hard pull from there. Yep. And that is me. You guys can always follow me on Loans by Natasha at Instagram. I'm Natasha Robinson on Facebook. And my website is loansbynatasha.com. There you get access to my link and different things that we have. We are going to be chatting Mortgage Monday Moves every Monday. I hope that we were able to bring you some awesome information tonight. 2005, we're going to be live. We're going to be giving you a lot of information this year. We don't want to drive you crazy, but I just feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions. And I want to help you become a homeowner, because if you rent, you get 0% interest on your rent. But if you own, you get to write off your mortgage interest. You get to pay your house off over time. You get to write off repairs in your house, landscaping. It helps you get a tax refund. And it's just a really nice feeling to come home to a house that's your own, where you don't have to move. You don't have to argue with a landlord, and you don't have to worry, because you are in control of your own destiny. So we are here for you. If you have any questions, please reach out, and you guys have a great evening. We didn't have any more questions, right, Emeka? I didn't see any more.
No more questions, but everyone's saying thank you so much. This is great information. Someone's saying they're going to reach out to you directly for a one-on-one. So they were really excited for the information shared tonight.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to share it. And I will see you guys next week on Mortgage Moves Monday. And for all my realtors, you can tune in on Tuesdays for our lunch and loans. But we're going to be talking on a more professional real estate level on how you can do certain things and how you can utilize our products to help your clients, and just little things you can know that we can help you grow your business and things like that. You guys have an amazing night, and I will see you soon.